Always with the left pad jokes. Never gonna hear the end of the left pad jokes. Can everyone see that? Fantastic. All right, now, so I'm not trapped behind a podium. I'm gonna try and use the fancy web app, which requires internet access, therefore it's not gonna work. No, it's not. Oh, it's gonna work. Web apps, everyone. So, I'm Laurie. Like he said, I'm the CTO of NPM Inc., and the important thing to remember is that I am not the famous NPM guy. The famous NPM guy is Isaac Schluter, not him. I'm just the guy that he picked to run engineering. And I'm here to talk about the stuff that everybody should know about NPM. Why am I talking about that stuff? Because NPM has a lot of users these days. There are something like 4 million NPM users, and they download 1 billion packages every 7 days. How many of you use NPM? Raise your hands. How many of you use NPM every single day? How many of you work for NPM? You're all buying that guy a drink. But my point is that the NPM community is growing really fast. Half of NPM's users have been using it for less than a year, which means that our user base is full of new people, and that is great. Welcome to NPM. But it means that there are a bunch of features of NPM that people who have been using NPM for a while know about, but people who are new to NPM don't know about, and that's more than half of you. So that's what this talk is about fixing. And I think even if you've been using NPM for a while, there will be some stuff in here you don't know about. So, oh, come on, web apps. Let's start with the very most basic thing. This is the architecture of NPM. Sitting on your computer is the CLI. That's the command line client. That is the thing that runs when you run NPM. And when you ask it to install when you ask NPM to install a package, the CLI talks to the registry, which is a set of servers all across the world, and it asks it what versions exist, and it tells them, and then NPM picks from that set of versions the best version that matches the specifications in your package JSON. And then it downloads it from one of 3 possible places. First, NPM will check the local cache. If you've ever installed that version of that package before, even if it was for some other project, then it will install from the local copy. This is going to be super annoying. So people complain, oh, NPM downloads the universe every single time. It really doesn't. Like, if you've ever downloaded that thing before, it doesn't bother to do it. And if it's not in the local cache, it will check the registry, and the registry is behind a very big worldwide cache called a CDN. So usually, when you download a package, you're downloading it from very close to you. You're downloading it from some server that's in your country, which is why it's very fast. And it's only if those other 2 fail that we go to our servers, which are in the US and in Australia and in Germany. So you're usually going pretty fast. And all of this may sound really basic, but the reason that I mentioned this stuff is because about half of NPM users don't know that the local cache exists, and about 20% of NPM users don't know that the registry exists. A lot of people think that NPM packages are just hosted on GitHub, which GitHub would be very annoyed about if that were true, because they download 1 billion packages every week. That would be a lot of stuff from GitHub for them to serve for free for no reason. Of course, it is possible to specify a GitHub URL as a package dependency. And if you do that, NPM will download from GitHub. And that will work with any Git hosting service. So you can use it with GitHub gists. You can install from a gist if that felt like a good idea to you. You can install from Bitbucket. You can install from GitLab. What the hell just happened there to my slides? If you want to, you can also have your own private copy of NPM called NPM Enterprise. It sits inside your firewall and it hosts your packages for you. NPM Enterprise will store copies of public packages as well as your private packages, and you can apply your own policies for which of your packages get mirrored inside your firewall. So you can say, just mirror the whole registry, I want some kind of outage insurance. You can say, mirror stuff that matches my security policies. You can say, mirror stuff that matches my licensing restrictions, whatever you want it to do. And my slides are really messed up. But that's the simplest picture of NPM's possible architecture. So let's get on to the really interesting stuff, which is the npm command, starting with the most important npm command, which is npm install npm-g. This will update your npm. This will get you npm 3, which is the latest npm, and it's not bundled with anything other than Node 4 right now. And we recommend it. It is both faster and more reliable than npm 2, and that is, that fact is new. It was not faster and it was not more reliable until relatively recently. If you're not yet ready to upgrade to npm 3, you can use that command at the bottom, which will give you the latest version of npm 2. Both npm 2 and npm 3 are updated every single week with new fixes, so lots of people are dozens of versions behind. This next command that you should know is npm init. npm init will start a new package for you by creating your package JSON. It will ask you a bunch of questions like a questionnaire, but it also has a bunch of smart defaults. So if you're just pretty sure that npm init is going to get all the defaults right, which it gets right most of the time, you can just run npm init --yes. Don't write your package JSON yourself. This is a thing I'm going to come back to a couple of times. Most of the time, npm has tools that will write your package JSON for you, and it's better at it than you are, so you should just let it do that. A relatively new feature of npm is scopes. There are so many packages now, there's like 280,000 packages, that if you're trying to name a new package, it can be kind of a pain in the ass because all of the good names are taken. So the solution is that you can publish packages underneath your username, and this lets you use nice descriptive package names because nothing under your username is taken. And the scope is part of the name, so you publish using the scope, and you install using the scope, and you require the code using the scope. It's extremely simple to use. Scoped packages can be public, like global packages are, and scoped packages can also be private, which is another paid feature. There's a couple of plugs in here. Here's an advanced trick. This is the one that I throw in to make sure that nobody can say they didn't find anything they never knew before. If you have a big team and you create packages all the time, and you have some standards about what your package JSON should look like, you can create a .npm init.js file in your home directory, and when npm init runs, it will pick up that file and execute it and change the questionnaire that npm init runs, which can be extremely useful. You can set defaults that are different from the standard defaults. You can skip questions. You can set a package naming convention. You can do whatever the hell you want. Because it's just arbitrary JavaScript running in there using a package called promzard, which I'm not going to go into, but you can do really cool stuff and just share that you are npm init with your entire team, and sort of suddenly all of your packages across your team are initialized in the same useful way. One last thing about npm init that some people don't know is that npm init can always be safely rerun. And that's useful because npm makes smart guesses about stuff. If you are in a Git repo and you run npm init, npm will know that, and it will add your Git repo to your repository field. If you've installed stuff into node modules and you run npm init, it will automatically put the node modules into your dependencies field. So even if you do that out of order, even if you npm init and then you install some stuff and then you add a Git repo, you can just run npm init again, and it will pick that stuff up again, and it will add it to package.json without blowing away any of the stuff that you put into package.json. So it's completely safe, and you can just rerun it all the time to make sure that npm init thinks that your package.json is up to snuff. So like I said, never edit your package.json yourself. Here's another way to avoid doing that, which a lot of people don't know, which is npm install --save. That will automatically add your package to the package to your package.json for you. You can use -s for short. If you use --save dev, it will add it to your dev dependencies. You can also do -d for short. Why should you be adding stuff to your dev dependencies? Because then you can skip installing them on production. npm install --production will skip out your dev dependencies, which will make your production installs much, much faster. You won't need your testing framework. You won't need a bunch of helper libraries that you only use in development on production, so you can just skip installing them. And another way to make installs faster is to use bundled dependencies. Bundled dependencies are included in your package. They're thrown right in there, so they don't need to be downloaded separately. If you bundle all of your dependencies, then an npm install becomes a single large file that you download and unpack without having to do any additional downloads, which can make things a lot faster and is a big time saver for larger projects. This is how npm distributes itself. npm bundles all of its dependencies together. I mentioned earlier that when npm installs, it checks the server for the current list of versions. This means that even if you already have the current version in your local cache, it's still going to need to check the server and hit the server and go, are there any newer versions than this version that I have? Which means that you still have to hit the network. And that check is usually very quick, because it's just like a 304 most of the time, because it's not really downloading anything. But that can still be really annoying if you're in a low bandwidth environment like airplane Wi-Fi or the nation of Australia. And the cache min option is your savior here. The cache min option controls how long npm waits between checking the registry to see if there's a newer version. And the default is just 10 seconds. So if you've got an install that's 30 seconds long, it can check for the same package 3 times within the same installation sequence, which is not super smart, if I'm being honest. So you can set that to 60 seconds or something else, and your installs will often go a lot faster. But npm is more than just a way to install dependencies. npm has a bunch of other stuff. It's also a way to automate the way that your team uses your app. That's one of the things that the features that npm has sort of accumulated over the years. It's a way of crystallizing the best practices of your team into a machine rather than just a list. And one of the simplest ways to do that is npm's default run scripts. You can add these to the scripts section of your package.json. Unfortunately, there's no automatic way of doing it. But then you and your team can use npm start and npm stop and restart and test to control the basic operations of the app that you're building. npm test is also used by CI systems like Travis to run your tests automatically, so you don't have to tell Travis how to do that. So now you've got an app or a module. Wait, no, hang on. There we go. One other feature of run scripts is that they have dev dependencies in their path. So if you have grunt, or you have gulp, or you have tap, or you have mocha, which you might be tempted to install globally and run your tests with, or run your tooling with, you can install them into your dev dependencies, and you can refer to them in your run scripts just directly without needing to know that they're installed. This prevents 2 problems. It prevents problems with different projects that you have requiring different versions of those things. If you've ever had 2 projects that require different versions of Mocha and failed your tests in either one, then you can solve it by having them local to each project. And it also saves your teammates from having to install those global tools when they install your project. They just come along for the ride with the rest of the project, which is super useful. And it doesn't cost you anything, because they're dev dependencies, so you can skip installing them in production. So now you've got an app or a module, and you can test it and you can run it, and you'll want to publish it. If it's a package that you want the world to see, then you can do what people have always done. You can just run npm publish and using a global name. But if it's just your team, or if it's a personal app of yours, you'll probably want to put it under a scope, and you might want it to be private. So now we've got as far as publishing the first version of your app. But the power of npm comes from the way that it handles multiple versions. And the root of that is semantic versioning, or semver. Semantic versioning at heart is very simple. Past its heart, it gets very, very complicated. But at heart, it's very simple. Semver is a contract. It's a contract between the author of a package and the users of the package that says how big a change happened between 2 versions. The first number, called the major number, is for breaking changes. It's for stuff that requires users to change their code if they're going to use this new version. The second number, called the minor, is for feature changes. It means you've added something without changing anything that was there before. And the last one, called the patch number, is for bug and security fixes. They should correct bugs without requiring people to change their code in any way. When you update your package, you have to update your version. And the version is part of package.json. So like most changes to package.json, npm has a way to do that for you. Use npm version major for breaking changes. Use npm version minor for new features, and npm version patch for fixes. Version also supports all of the other sort of complicated edge cases of the semver versioning system, but they're complicated, so I'm not going to go into them. Version also creates a git tag at the same time that it bumps your version for you, and it tags your Git repo, which is extremely useful. So you can throw in a -m, and that will be applied to as the commit message for that git tag. But of course, Semver is a promise. It's not a guarantee. And sometimes those things that you thought were features, they cause stuff to break because you didn't do the feature right. And sometimes your bug fix causes stuff to break because people were relying on the broken behavior. That shouldn't happen, but it does. So what is a responsible NPM developer supposed to do? Well, NPM Shrinkwrap was invented to solve that problem. It captures your entire dependency tree, all of their dependencies and their dependencies all the way down, and it saves them to a shrinkwrap.json file, which it puts in the root of your package. And it will when you install your package elsewhere, if there's a shrinkwrap file there, NPM will install the exact version specified in the shrinkwrap file. But there's a problem with that, which is that shrinkwrap is kind of buggy, sorry. We're working on that. But in the meantime, there's packages like clingwrap and I think shrunkwrap or something, which have had some success in sort of papering over the holes that exist in Shrinkwrap right now. But actually fixing Shrinkwrap is one of the things that the team is working on this year. But all of this so far has been assuming that there's just one of you, that you're writing the package and you're publishing it. But in reality, you work in a team. And you want other people in your company to be able to use your package. And some of them should be able to publish it, but some of them should only be able to install it. And this is especially important when working with private packages. The old way to do this was npm owner, but there's a better way now, and that is npm organizations. To use organizations, we added 2 new commands to npm, npm team and npm access. These let you put people into teams and give them access to packages in a really granular way. NPM organizations are a paid feature right now. We are hoping to change that. So I apologize for this being a slight plug as well. The team command is pretty self-explanatory. You can create and destroy a team. You can add people to the team with add. You can remove them with rm. And you can see who's in the team with ls. NPM access is similarly pretty self-explanatory. Access grant gives a team read-only or read-write access to a package. Access revoke takes that permission away. Access ls packages shows you what packages a user or a team can see, and access ls collaborators shows you what users and teams have access to a particular package. So with the plug over, let's level up again. We went from one user with one package to multiple users with one package, and now it's time for multiple packages. Imagine that you have split up your system into a microservice architecture. You have several microservices. They have shared logic, so you split the code up into modules that multiple services use. So now you've got an app and you've got submodules, and you want to be able to work on them at the same time. The command that you want to do that is npm link. Here's how it works. In the root of your package, which is called Alice, run npm link. Now go to your other package, which is called Bob, and run npm link Alice. And suddenly, Alice is immediately available in Bob. Any changes that you make in Alice will be immediately available in Bob, and you can work on the two at the same time. This is a trivial feature, but it's absolutely essential to working on large NPM projects. NPM itself consists of dozens of modules, and it's impossible to work on NPM without using lots of npm link. So cool, we've got multiple users, multiple packages. If you want to level up again, the next thing is multiple releases. If you have a lot of users, you're going to find this valuable. You're going to have the stable version that most people are using, and you're going to want to have a next or a beta version that new people are using. Of course, you could just tell people which the specific version is. You're like 1.5.7, that's beta. Everybody should try it out. But that's kind of a pain in the ass, and NPM is here to remove pains in your ass. So you can use dist tags, also called release tags, to do this. You can apply a dist tag at publish time by using --tag when you publish. By default, every publish gets tagged. It gets tagged as latest. And if you npm install, what you're actually doing is you're npm installing at latest. Whatever the latest tag points to is what gets installed. But you can run anything. You can run an npm install package at beta, npm install package at test, npm install package at whatever arbitrary tag you've made up. So once you've done that, you've got this beta tag, and you're like, OK, cool, this version is no longer beta, this version is latest. How do you change the tag once the thing is already published? That's where the dist tag comes in. Dist tag add applies the tag you specify to the version that you specify. Only one version of a package can have a tag at any one time. So if you add it to a new version, it's the same as moving it from the old version. You can use remove to remove the tag entirely. You can see what tags exist with ls. Big packages like Babel have adopted a new release strategy where they release all of the new versions of their package on a next tag. Just as CI passes, it gets automatically published. And when everything has reached the next tag, they then do a single operation that switches everything on the next tag to the current tag, which if you've got a big NPM project, can be a nice granular way of doing that. So one other way that you can use tags is when you're installing your dependencies, you can run npm install with --tag, and npm will prefer versions that have that tag. This is useful if you're working on a big project with lots of people, and some people have started releasing next stuff, and you don't want to have to update your dependencies. You just say, install this project on the next tag, and it will pull in all of your dependencies on next tags if you've got them. Of course, sometimes you make a mistake. And you publish a version by accident, or you have a bug that's going to take a long time to fix, and you just want that version to be gone. And npm unpublish lets you do that. As you may have heard recently, unpublishing a package can cause trouble if there's a bunch of people depending on that package. So recently we made a change in the way that unpublish works, which is if you unpublish something, you can unpublish it easily for the first 24 hours, and after the first 24 hours, you have to contact support to make sure that this is a thing that you intended to do and is safe for everyone to do. And we're probably not, giving package names away to corporations anymore. That didn't seem to work out. But if you've got a package or a version that you don't want people to use anymore, rather than unpublishing it, the safer and friendlier way is to use npm deprecate. People will still be able to install the package. They'll just get a little friendly notice saying, hey, you shouldn't use this package anymore. It's much easier and it's much safer, and it doesn't break the whole universe and have to do forever jokes about left pad. So if you've been running a project for a while, you'll find that some of your dependencies have been updated, but with breaking changes, so they won't automatically be pulled in. How do you find these updates? That's what npm outdated is for. npm outdated will give you a list like this one here. Current shows you what you have locally, and wanted shows you the version that would be the maximum version that would be installed by your semver range. So if you've installed recently, these two are usually the same, and if they're not the same, npm update will bring them into alignment with each other. The last column, which is the latest, shows if there's a version that is outside your allowed range but still exists, like a breaking change. So you can decide if you want to upgrade without having to just install new things or check everybody's web page. So there's more stuff about run scripts. I called them run scripts, and here's why I did that, which is that in the script stanza of your package.json, you can define any scripts at all, and then you can run them using the npm run command. So like start and stop and test, all of these arbitrary run scripts, they get dev dependencies in their path, and you can use them for all sorts of things. At npm, we tend to use npm run dev as a shorthand of starting the server in development mode, which is nice. Other people use npm run setup to initialize their databases the first time, so that you don't have to have like a complicated wiki page about, here's how you set up your databases for the first time when you've hired a new dev. That's what I mean about package.json and npm being a way of crystallizing your team's processes into the code. Anything that you might have put in a wiki somewhere, you can just slap it into package.json, and you can have it version controlled along with everything else. So you no longer have to tell everybody, that's not how we run tests anymore, this is how we run tests anymore. That's not how you set up the database, this is how you set up the database. So I already mentioned that run scripts get dev dependencies for free. Another useful thing that they get for free is that they get a bunch of npm variables. Every key in package.json is available to your run scripts in the environment as an npm package value. And every configuration value used by npm is available as an npm config value. Even more usefully, if you create a config key like this one in your package.json, You can put default values in there, and they will be overridden by values in npm's configuration files. So as you can see in this example, I set a default port for my thing to run on, to be used by my start script forever, for instance. It just wants to know what port it should run on. But somebody can use npm config to set the value of that config, and it will be overridden without you having to constantly swap in configuration files. The final and most useful feature of npm run scripts that I'm going to mention is lifecycle hooks. Certain names for run scripts are special. This is the big list of them. These scripts will run automatically in response to events. So events like publishing your package, or running the version command, or running install. And you can use this to do all sorts of things. A really common use of the install event is to compile binary dependencies, if your package has those. But you can do other cool stuff. You can force the event to fail if the script fails. So for instance, you can put a pre-published script that runs your tests, which makes it impossible to publish a version that doesn't pass your tests. This can be a nice low-friction way of ensuring best practices within your team. Come on. The other thing that I should talk about that is super useful is the npmrc file, or more accurately, the npmrc files, because there are 4 of them, and this is a frequent source of confusion. What the npmrc files do is they provide default configuration options for npm, and npm accepts over 100 configuration options, so writing them down in some place is often pretty useful. If you put an npmrc in your package root, that's a good place to put per project configuration settings that will be shared across your team. If you have stuff that's relevant just to you, like your access token and stuff like that, you can put it in the one in your home directory. There's also global ones, and you can also look at npm's built-in ones if that sounds like a good idea to you. Another thing that npmrc does is it holds your authentication token. You can use this token to authenticate other services to npm. A really common use case for this is CI, if you're using private packages. If you don't want to put your auth token directly into your code, you can do something like this, where you put the npm token variable into your npmrc file, and it will get automatically expanded if you set it as an environment variable within Travis. This is a really useful thing to do, and Remy's post, which I'm linking to there, has a lot of details on how to do that the best way. There are a handful of fun configuration options, which I'm going to skip because I'm running a little bit over time. And so before I get out of here, I want to mention that there's a few third-party tools that are not part of npm, but they're so useful and so popular that they're becoming intrinsic to the way people write node code and use npm these days. The first is Babel. Babel is a transpiler. It's a tool that transforms next version JavaScript into JavaScript that can run today, either in Node or in your browser. It can also transpile stuff that isn't JavaScript, like JSX or TypeScript. And lots of projects and tutorials these days we're seeing just sort of assume you already know how to transpile your code, and that's a thing that everybody does. So if you've been wondering how the hell it is that all these people are using ES6 before ES6 is globally available, Babel is how they're doing it. Another thing that people do, and assume that you already know how to do, is to make your node code available into your browser. There are 2 popular ways to do this. The first and older one is Browserify, built by the wonderful Genius Substack. It is an amazingly powerful, flexible tool. And the second one is Webpack, which is a newer, more sort of batteries-included solution that does much of the same things. They will both help you transpile your code and make it easily available to your browser in a predictable way. Another tool that we're finding super useful right now is Greenkeeper. Greenkeeper is like npm outdated in the cloud. It constantly checks for updates to the packages that you depend on, and it runs your tests on them to make sure that minor updates haven't broken you. They said that they weren't going to, but they might have anyway, and Greenkeeper is making sure that your tests are always green. Get it? And it will even submit a PR to include the new change if it's safe for your app. And we have turned it on for most of our repos at npm. And the last third-party thing I want to mention is the Node Security Project and their tool NSP. NSP consults Node Security Project's database of known security vulnerabilities when you run NSP check, and it will alert you if you're using a vulnerable module. So if you hook NSP check into those lifecycle events that I was talking about, you can make it such that it is impossible for you to publish a version of your code that contains vulnerable modules, which is a really good idea. So one thing you may be asking at this point is, like, I've just given you this whirlwind tour of like dozens and dozens of features. What on earth is tying all of these things together? It does all of these random things. What ties them together is that they take something that you had to do all the time, and it turns it into an automatic thing that happens without you having to think about it. They take things that were hard and they make them simpler and faster. The message of NPM is that NPM is here to get out of your way. We are not here to add a bunch of ceremony. That is not what we're about. We don't want to tell you how to do things. We want to find out the things that you're already doing and make them as simple as we possibly can. So if there's something that you do every day and it's still really hard, you should tell me about it. You should find me today and complain to me about it. And that's what NPM will get out of your way to do next. So there you go. That is the big recap of all of the things that we think that everybody should know about NPM. I hope you all learned at least one useful thing. And if you've got any questions, you should stop me in the hallway. Good questions get good NPM swag, and I have a big bag of it to give away that I don't want to take back. Thank you very much.